Hello admission staff, my name is Vadim Hakhanov and I'm ready to present to you my project in Android Studio, which is an application for calculating prime numbers in the defined range by user. So, to be honest, I created this small application for a reason to divert my focus from my main project, which is a language learning application, because my main project is quite big, I would say, and it's kind of stressed me out. So I want to create something smaller, some side project to divert my focus for a little bit. So let me demonstrate how my application works. Actually, let me show what I have in my project. These are the files that I came up with. So it has two classes, main activity.java and spinner icons.java. It has a layout for main activity and layout for enhanced spinner that supports icons. You'll find out why I created that. And strings is basically strings for multiple languages because my application supports 8 languages. Let me actually start the application on my Android phone, which as you can see Xiaomi and all those numbers. I don't know what's pronounced Xiaomi or Xiaomi, but don't matter. So I connected it through via USB, and here is the screen that is translated from my phone. So as you can see, here is one and only page, one and the useful one. So you have the spinner where you can choose any language from the presented. You can choose Buryat language, which is my native language I created for my people, and others: Spanish, Amharic, Kazakh, Burmese, Russian, Vietnamese. So let's switch to English to make an understanding of what's going on. So in the beginning we see a definition of what prime number is. So may I remind you that prime number is a number that greater than 1 and that is divisible only by 1 and the number itself. So we have text asking us to define the range. In here we can type the start. Let's come up with a random number 34, and the end of the range will be 69,000. No, actually, let me come up with 85 and now. And we have two buttons: calculate prime numbers and copy to clipboard. We don't need the second button now, so let's press the calculate prime numbers. And here in this big black screen that takes half of the screen, we see prime numbers found in range from 34 up to 85, and they are all prime. I assure you, my program is nearly perfect. So we can type any range we want: 34 up to 254, 2 up to 254, and it will calculate them all. And we can, if we don't speak English, we can choose Amharic and calculate them in Amharic. It will find all the prime numbers. So we also have a, let me remind you, it will have a copy to clipboard button. We copy this black screen, contents of this black screen, so we can copy it to clipboard, and we can go to like notes, telling us which prime numbers we found in the range of from 1 to 54. And to prove that it's not something I copied before, I will tap the different range 354 up to 421. Let's not make it really big, and let's change language to Burmese or Kazakh or Vietnam. Let's stick to Vietnamese. So we press the calculate button, and here are all the prime numbers. So let's copy to clipboard and create a new note. Here they are. Two notes that I created. It's the first note and the second note. So that's pretty much. Oh! I also almost forgot that this application won't let it crash. Won't make it fall to any exceptions, any invalid input user might type in. So if we were to try to crash this program, we can write something like the starting point is 54 and the ending point is 2, which is illogical because starting position cannot be bigger than ending position. And we press this button. Actually, let me switch to English, back to English. Let me press the calculate button, and here it is. Starting position cannot be less than ending position. And also, if we were to type in the range that does not contain any prime numbers, we can write something like start is 32 and the end is 36. No prime numbers were found in given range from 32 to 36. And also, if we want to check if the particular number is prime, we can just write it in both fields. If we want to check if the 37 is prime, we can press the calculate, and here it is, 37. We want to check if 38, which is not a prime. No prime numbers are found in given range. So that's pretty much it, and let me switch to explaining all of my code. So let me actually explain important parts of my work. And to clarify beforehand, I would like to point out that I don't have any script on me. So, of course, I prepared before, but let's consider it as public presentation or something like that. So, main activity class begins with assigning a package, which a package is just where the application is contained in, and also we import useful libraries from Android Studio that help us build the application. And now we're heading towards the actual class main activity, and we have a list of string values. Basically, these are values, just texts on the screen. For example, definition, by default it has a value of the next text. A prime number is a number greater than 1 that is divisible by 1 and so on. So it can change its value depending on which language the user has set to. It also can have the value of Yurinhuto, Geshin Yuhe, and Salnahunde. It's a bullet language. So text views are containers of these string values. And now we're heading towards onCreate method, which is a mandatory method for any Android application in order to be able to run. So it has these two lines that are created by default. And here I created an instance of a spinner. Spinner is used for language selection. So I set it a listener which listens to any change. If a user selected a different language, it will listen to his actions. So here is the overridden on item selected method. It's overridden because it's there by default, but I need to do it what I want, not what Android Studio came up with, because I created an application for my reason. I created a spinner for purpose of changing language, so I overrode it. So it's quite not difficult. Switch I, it means that I can have any value from 0 to 7. I stands for selection. So in case if user chose 0, which is English, it assigns definition to a prime number is a number greater than 1 that is divisible, so on. Also this line, this block of code, if definition is equals to nothing, doesn't, exclamation mark means that it does not equal to null, because it does not equals to nothing, it will make a text. It will make a notification that the language has been changed to English, because when we run the application, it will change the language to English, but with this block of code, it will prevent Toast to make a text on launch, immediately on launch, because we didn't do anything. But if we remove this block of code, it will just automatically make a notification even if we didn't do anything. So it's just for user experience. Don't mind it. So, and these are just other cases. If a user has chosen the 1, it changes language to Buryat. Toast make texts is a notification that says Buryat Rushelzb, which means but language has been changed to Buryat. Just like that. So these are all the cases, and finally we are out of that sequence of languages, and here we set views is text, we set definitions view text for this prime number is number greater than 1, and so on and so on. Yeah, so on. And here is the second method of on item selected listener. It's mandatory to exist, it's required in order for on item selected listener to exist, but it does not have to be implemented, so it's just there. So we are out of this on item selected listener sequence, and here we are at the string array of languages names, which are just, this one says English, this one says Buryat, so on. Integer array of icons. It's quite self-explanatory. It contains these icons, which are flags of languages, flags of countries. And Spinner's icons adapter is a class that I created in order to enhance the regular spinner, because the default spinner does not support icons, and I created I decided to create new adapter, because let's come up with an example. A user who does not speak English launches an app, and it loads the English by default, and he sees that there is a English flag, so he immediately find out something like, oh, there is an English flag, so this button must change language, and so This just for user experience. So I created this spinner icons, enhanced spinner with icons. So actually, enhanced spinner with icons support. Part of the prime numbers app. Oh my god, why did I wrote last? Okay, my bad. So, public class spinner icons extends base adapter, which means that it uses methods from base adapter, but I override them. So mostly I just made this block of code. It just takes convert view into account and it changes it to icons and text. It sets image resource icons, which are from the which is a position for. So actually I set this command set image resource sets the icon for the item at the specified position, and the same for text. So that's pretty much it with spinner icons, but actually it's quite difficult to find out how to use icons, but I made it. So this block of code, self-explanatory, it initializes views. And views are buttons, texts, so on. So we're going to public void method copy to clipboard. With help of this method, we can copy text to clipboard and share it with someone else, or just save it to ourselves. So I used clipboard manager. I created an instance of it, and I also created an instance of clip data, and I just set clipboard to take account of clip, and clip gets text from the result, and we're going to find out what the result is. So we're going to the main method, the most important method calculate, which calculates prime numbers. So strings are assigned. Actually, if you are confused, what is log.d is just for me as a developer. For example, if there was a problem before calling calculate methods, and it will not tell me that the button was pressed. So I will find out that the problem was not with calculate method. So we assign string values, we validate inputs with this block of code. Actually, it cannot be reached, but just in case if some hacker will try to crash my app, it will not let him to. It will say invalid input, please enter numeric values. So we create numbers which are by default empty. Before user has typed something into it, they are empty. We create a check flag to check if number is prime. By default it's no. Let me remind you, boolean value can accept only true and false. So if start is bigger than end, so this block of code checks if start is greater than end. It assigns numbers a range error and sets text. Also, it has this block of code that checks if start is negative. If the start is negative, we cannot count prime numbers from negative, so it will give an error and ask for user to write something valid. And finally, else if input is valid, it will calculate prime numbers. So firstly, it uses for loop to loop through the range from start to end. And secondly, it will loop every number. Actually, it will loop from the number up to the half of it. So it will not find any divisors, then it will not add it to the list of prime numbers. And also it will skip 1 and 0 because they are not prime numbers. It just continues. And finally, it checks if numbers list is empty, then it will set text not found. If it is not empty, else it will set the numbers list to, it will show the numbers list. And so that's pretty much it. Layouts are just self-explanatory. I don't have anything to say about them. I created a spinner. I assigned it width, height, margin start, and also the only thing I want to point out is that I use dynamic constraints. That it means that it will adapt to any device it will be launched in. So it's useful for usage in different devices because there is no a single device that everyone uses. Everyone has different brands and so on with different sizes. So that's pretty much it. Spinner's icon.xml is a layout for a custom spinner that accepts images. So that's pretty much it. I hope you were impressed.